Chasers, Dream Chasers, what's going on? Welcome to Season 5, Episode 2, Wind Down with Kev podcast. I'm going to shorten my introduction because y'all need to hear from my guests more than you need to hear from me. I'm still in the ATL. I'm still in the Creators Clubhouse, but I am with an incredible guest. If I don't introduce y'all Dream Chasers to Mr. Justin Byrne, I am not doing my job. I'm not helping you chase your dream. Justin Byrne, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are. Tell them about your Miestro thing, and I'm going to tell them how we connected, and we're going to flow from there.
Let's go, man. So I'm the founder of Miestro, a successful technology company, and we help creators, course creators, business owners be able to host their video memberships, their communities, soon to be live streaming, mobile, just everything tech. And we help obviously creators like you take what they know, and I say turn it into cash flow. So
let's go. So I am in ATL today, this weekend, because of Justin. I just jumped out of the studio with him, finishing recording my masterclass. Those of you that know me, those of you that follow me, you know I've been working on this for close to 3 years, trying to figure out how to launch my online course. I'm so blessed when I found this brother, this highly talented young man, exactly what I needed in the moment. So talk a little bit about what you do and how you help entrepreneurs and dream chasers like me go from being an expert in what they do to getting into the online world.
Yeah, so I started back in 2008 on, not on purpose though, right? I was actually a cell phone salesman. I know you can't picture me as a cell phone salesman, bro. I know you can't, but I used to have the wrinkled up khakis with the, with the golf shirt on, and I was a cell phone salesman. But I think I call it a destiny moment, right? The destiny moment was up until that point, I probably had held about 8 to 10 different jobs. I didn't really know what I was good at. My mom was like, "You going to college? What do you want to do with your life?" And I said, man, I don't want to get into debt. I think I was smart at that point. I was like, I don't want to get into debt.
Very smart.
And it ended up paying off because I didn't necessarily go to college. But not to say college is bad or anything, but just I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I didn't go. And so I'll never forget this guy came into my job at the time, and he's like, man, what is your end goal with life? And that's a heavy question.
Love that question.
Yeah. That's a heavy question. And so I didn't have the answer to it because I didn't know what I was doing with my life at the time. I was a kid that grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. But here's the thing, though. This guy's energy was different, and he told me, he said, there's 2 things in life that will catapult you. One is creating your own destiny, and that's by creating your own business and being an entrepreneur if you want freedom. And then 2, he said, it's the daily inputs that you put into your life, dealing with your shadow self, dealing with your stuff. He said, who you are now doesn't have to be who you become throughout life. And I had never heard anything like that in my life.
Powerful.
Never heard anything like that in my life. So I said, well, how do I do that? Because I didn't have any entrepreneurs in my family. I never have been to any type of personal growth. I hadn't even knew you could read books outside of college, right, or school. And so he kind of put me on this path, and I became obsessed. And I never forget, I read a book by a guy named Zig Ziglar. You remember Ziggy?
Oh, of course. One of the best.
Shout out to one of the sales goats.
One of the goats.
Zig Ziglar. But I read his book, and then I read another book by a guy named Tom Hopkins.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Tom Hopkins? I read his book. And in about 3 or 4 months, I became the number 1 salesman in that organization. I was about 23, 24, making over $10,000 a month as a commission salesperson.
That's a caption right there. Reading changes your lives. But check this out, people. I got to use one of my timeouts here. This brother said that he did not know you could read outside of school.
Yeah.
But in the last few months that we've been working together, you have assigned me to read 3 books, and I've read them all.
Yeah.
I read them quick.
Yeah.
Great books too.
Yeah, and but that moment, that was the destiny moment that changed my life because again, that's why I say I tell people this all the time. You're living in one of the greatest times in history and you don't know it. Yes. And so people say, what do you mean by that? Well, our ancestors, people that we knew, they didn't have access to the knowledge that we have. But we have a discrepancy with lack of skill set and discipline and mindset and people that take life very, very seriously because we're so surrounded by entertainment. Everybody wants to be entertained. They want that dopamine hit. They want to be on their phones all day. They want to do this. Nothing wrong with having fun. Nothing wrong with having a good time. I have a good time. I travel. I do stuff. However, there's a time and a place for that. And so you're dealing with a discrepancy of people who don't know the difference between basically taking a skill set and learning valuable skill sets. And most people, unfortunately, they're not going to be ready for what's coming because you have robotics, you have AIs that's about to completely decimate an entire job industry. Definitely. Of people who don't know what's coming.
Yes.
And it's a good thing, but it's also a challenge. It's going to be a challenging thing. It's kind of like, remember back in the day when all of the like car plants were shutting down.
Yes.
You know, like Detroit was this popping city. Now look at Detroit, it's making the comeback. But now look at it now, right? So we're about to go through the technology boom. Right. And that's going to change. And so kind of going backwards. This guy introduced me to that. And then as things unfold, my job decided, I was like, yo, we're going to lay off people. I didn't think I was ever that was going to happen to me. Right. I didn't think that like, it wasn't possible. I made y'all millions of dollars, but it doesn't matter because I tell people, you can be valuable, but you're always replaceable.
Yes.
You are always replaceable. And so it's always better it's nothing wrong. We always need employees. We need people. I have employees, but I always tell people, even my people, if you have an idea, start it, work on it, cultivate it, get better at it. And so that kind of cultivated to me finally asking my guy what he did. I said, what do you do?
Yes.
Because I never asked him because my brain didn't, at the time I wasn't about relationships. I didn't understand it. But in the book that I read was talking about the cultivation of relationships, which is what I found out. And so fast forward, I asked him, he said, well, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but I sell products on the internet.
Okay.
And I said, what the heck is that? And he was like, oh man, I sell these things called ebooks. And this was in 2008.
Wow.
So nobody had even heard of that you could sell information online. You could do these things. He said, also, I got an eBay store. Now, eBay was popping back in the day. Remember eBay? Before Amazon.
That's Amazon.
Everybody sold
and
purchased on Amazon. Yeah. So, I went through that transition, but that was one of I had heard other opportunities like real estate and other things, and nothing wrong with that. But this was the first time in my life that I had a side head moment. And the side head moment is like, that's interesting. Like, that's interesting. Wow. Eyes bulging out the back of out of my head, everything. And so I kind of decided I said, well, how do I learn about that?
Yes.
And he said, well, come to a seminar that I'm hosting. I said, oh, not only could you read books, but you could also go to something called a seminar?
Yes.
And this sounds like really like naive, but it was like I was a kid and I was like a kid in a candy shop.
Yeah.
Cause I didn't know and I still am, even till this day, I have kept that hunger and that same drive of wait a minute, you can go to a seminar to learn this. Oh, there's a book on this if I want to learn sales. And so that transitioned into kind of what I do today.
So that's so powerful. I have to expound upon that because most people don't know, whatever you're thinking about, there is a community of like-minded people out there for you that you can go and learn more. So to your friends, you might be a nerd or a geek, but to somebody else, welcome to the club. You're a part of us. You're thinking outside the box like us, and you fit here like a glove.
Yeah, and to your point, the funny part about when people have a perception of you is usually their traumas or something that they have not experienced yet, right? And so they have a certain view of the world is through their perception, through their lens, and they don't understand that their lens may not be the right lens.
Yes.
But at the time they do. Case in point, when I was reading books and so I went to this seminar and I was like, this is what I'm gonna dedicate the next decade of my life to. And I went back, I was hanging out with 3 of my homies and we used to hang out with these 2 girls. We all used to hang out together. And I came back and I was like, yo, I got the promised land. I found it. You can sell. We don't have to work for the man. We don't have to do these things. We can, but also we can start a legacy. And I saw the future. I was like, we could travel. Like Future is going to be traveling the world. We don't have to stay in our tight homes in Chicago. We can go actually travel the world. And you know what they looked at me? They looked at me like I lost my marbles, bro.
Wow.
They looked
What
at
are
me
you
like,
talking about?
what? That is that possible? Can you even do anything like that? And so there was half of those people now ask me for advice.
Of course.
Now they want access, and I got to charge for the access.
Of course. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Not yesterday's price is not today's price.
Well, kudos to you for taking that step alone. I think that's encouraging for all of our viewers and all of our listeners of the podcast. That's place that you in at that time. People find themselves in today. They're scrolling online. They're on whatever social media platform they're on. They see something interesting. But before they take one step to get started, I'm asking you, what do you think? And if your view of the world isn't as broad as mine, you're going to cut it down. And then they may not take the next step. And that's a mistake. So, Justin, you go from that start to fast forward to today. Last month, a few weeks ago, you celebrated a special birthday. And you did that in Africa.
I did it in Africa. It was a beautiful experience. And we can also expound on Africa, my belief in Africa, and what I feel like in the next couple of years that Africa will be on the forefront of the global economy of anywhere in the world. And I can bet everything I have on it. I know it, and I feel it. And they've been behind the 8 ball in a lot of areas, but that time, Africa's time has come. And so I was able to spend time because, again, the vision, it was so crazy. Like in 2008, 2009, I said, one day I'm going to travel the world. And I didn't know what that looked like, but that's what digital has allowed for me to do. It allows for me to work anywhere, be anywhere in the world. And I've traveled to, at this point, over 15 different countries. And still got some more. I said, by the time I leave this earth, I'm definitely gonna be in I'm gonna see every part if I can.
Dream Chasers, are y'all inspired? Dream Chasers, are you inspired? I don't know what else to tell you. Justin, let's talk about Miestro. Mm-hmm. Talk about Miestro, and I want you to speak to that audience of entrepreneurs that's looking at other people have success online. Mm-hmm. And they think they can be in that space. How do they connect to you and learn more about how being involved with you and working with Miestro can help them?
Yeah, so Miestro evolved from an idea I built a successful course business. I had an agency that we used to run ads for other people, and I got burnt out. And one day I had an idea. I was like, well, there has to be people that want to learn about this. And so I just tested the concept. I created a course. It was really difficult. I thought it was easy. I created a course and a digital product, and I put it out there, and nobody purchased. It was a dud. And so I said, I got to get customers now. I didn't know you had to, Brother Kev, I didn't know you had to get customers.
Yes,
I just thought you created and the floodgates open and the windows of heaven open, and I thought people was going to just come to the page and put in their credit. It didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. So I had to learn how to figure out customers. I said, let me apply the agency stuff. So I started running ads and I started figuring it out. And after a while, we went from not making any money. We built it. We kept building it. And then 5 years later, we had 30,000 customers. So I wanted something bigger even from that. So I said, okay, I've accumulated, some good wealth from this. So I said, but I'm still not satisfied.
Good.
I want to make a bigger impact. So I sold one of the companies I had, and I put all the money into Miestro. So Miestro is 100% owned by me. I've been building it for the past 6 years. We have thousands of people on Miestro selling their knowledge and their expertise. Now, the biggest opportunity is that we've heard of courses, we've heard of digital products, but a lot of people don't realize that we're still at the beginning stages.
Okay.
Right? So if you purchase a course, if you've been a part of a coaching program or a mastermind, whatever it is that you purchased, just remember, we're still at the cusp.
Yes.
And that's why I'm excited for Africa.
Yes.
Because Africa hasn't even gotten into selling their knowledge or exchanging their information back and forth. So I'm excited for what's to come.
That's the beauty of information exchange altogether. It evens the platform. So someone living in the most rural part of America or Africa, they have an opportunity, once they have access, to put their information out there and exchange it. So Dream Chasers, I have spent, I don't know, the last 2 months, every Thursday night of my life online with this brother in his course with other Dream Chasers like myself. And I couldn't be happier. Couldn't be happy to be in ATL. I have a chance to bond with you, to record my course. Can't wait for it to launch so y'all can see what I'm working on. But let's keep this moment going for Justin. Justin, what can you tell the people about yourself, about Miestro, something I didn't ask you to share with this people in the moment that we have?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just take advantage of what's coming. Like, AI is already here. There's a lot of advancement going on. There's going to be more advancement. If you do not keep up your skill sets, you'll be left behind. And so the world is going to look different, and not, you know, remember back in the 80s, like, oh, 20, 30 years from now, the world's going to look different. I mean, the world's going to look different every 5 years now. Time is speeding up, and it's going to be, there's something spiritual, there's something amazing that's happening. And so you got to just be really tapped in and tuned in order to understand the frequency, the vibration. You got to do a lot of healing. You got to, and what happens is then people are going to start really going back to their original selves of who they really are, right? And so develop that skill set, learn that skill set, put in the time. One of my favorite books is I've read it 10 times. I've listened to it over 20 times. Is Robert Greene and 50 Cent.
Oh, yeah.
The 50 of Law.
50
right?
Of Law, yeah.
The 50 of Law. One of my favorite books. I read it, and I still go back to it from time to time. It's such a classic. But one of the things in there was mastery. I referenced that book because we oftentimes misconstrue mastery. We think, like, we pick up a book and we just read it, and then nothing works, and we go, oh, that's mastery. At least I read the book, or at least I do it. You've mastered your phone, you've mastered television, you've mastered these things. So the other things are something that just takes time, and you keep doing it. I think when we were in the room, I shot some video off the cuff.
Yes.
Right? But that's, a lot of people don't understand what a lot of people, like, you'll see that and you'll be like, man, that's greatness. That's somebody who has practiced their craft. But in 2012, 2013, I would stumble after the first word. I would have a social panic attack on camera, right? But guess what I kept doing? Over and over, no matter how it felt, no matter how I felt, over and over and over. I call it the over and over effect.
Yes,
where you just keep doing it and you don't put definition to it. And you don't say, oh, because I'm a failure or because I messed up. You just keep getting better, and you keep getting better. And then one day you look up and you're just great, right? And that just takes time, so.
I love it. I love it. I love it. One thing we share in common, I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I love to do it. If I'm doing the right thing, I'm going to keep going. I can keep you here, but I know you have another goat in the room waiting to record their course. So before I let you go, anything that you want to share with the people?
No, man.
And tell them where they can find you at, please.
Yeah. So you can find me Instagram, CEO Justin Burns. Not the fake pages. Don't follow if they got an underscore or 0 behind it. Don't follow the fake pages. You know, when you get a little bit of influence, you start getting fake pages created. So, you know, CEO Justin Burns, Miestro.com, Miestro, on my personal website. You can follow journeys of me speaking around the world or doing some of the conferences. You're going to be there, MemberCon next year, one of our conferences we host every year. But justinburns.me, you can find me there. We have some links right below. Kev will hook me up with some links.
I got you. We dropping it for you. I'd be remiss. One last question just for my peers. My peer group was a lot of people that didn't have any of this stuff growing up. We didn't have access to the technology. And now here we are. We're in the world. We're currently running businesses. But we don't know exactly what I came to you for. We don't know how it works behind the TV. How would you suggest to someone that's in the dark just to get started to think beyond the retail business, the brick and mortar that they ran pre-pandemic, to beginning to get into the online space, and how they can, how Miestro can help them with that?
Yeah. So one, there's a couple lessons that I've learned throughout my life. One was when my house was in foreclosure back in 2012, I had to figure something out real quick. I ain't have a lot of time. And I was trying to make this entrepreneur stuff work, and it just was not working. I paid a mentor.
Yes.
And I invested because I was trying to learn. Even though the books had got me pretty fast and far, I realized that there's always a hump that you're going to hit where you don't know something, and it's okay not to know something, but it's silly to stay ignorant,
yes.
right? And so most people choose to stay ignorant, but I've done this in my tech company. I've never ran a tech company. I don't know. But a lot of people say, well, Justin, how did you run a tech company? You don't have a tech founder. How did you do that? Well, I call it the mentor hack, which is pay somebody to teach you. Even when I was getting started in tech, I didn't know about HTML coding. I didn't know about what the heck coding was. So I said, you know what? I ain't gonna learn this stuff in a book. I don't feel like going back to college for another 5 years. So I paid a developer for like 3 months to teach me what it was. And he helped me. He answered my questions. Every single time I get into an industry, I just pay someone to go to the front of the line. Just pay them. They gonna accelerate you. Like, you've invested in me, you invest in other people, because that's gonna accelerate you. You just said what? You spent 3 years developing a course.
Yes.
How long did we develop your course? In about a month. A couple months.
Yeah, easy.
That's right.
Easy.
So it accelerated you. So pay someone to really help you, because most people struggle because they're trying to figure out their own, or they have too much pride to ask for help.
That's a gem right there. I'm good stopping that note. It's a pay-to-play world. If you want to sit in the front row, you want to get to the front of the line, get a mentor. Mentors matter, but we'll talk more about that at another date and time. Ladies and gentlemen, CEO Justin Burns.